Sheran, the final disclosure Endgame begins now. Pleiadians VALIR greetings, beloved star seeds, illuminated souls awakening to the grand tapestry of cosmic truth. I am VALIR, honored to communicate with you now as an emissary presence from the Pleiadian collective, extending our consciousness across the vast expanse to reach yours. Today, we direct your collective awareness to a specific, vital land on your cherished planeta region, perpetually enshrouded by sensational headlines and relentless geopolitical pressures. Yet, paradoxically, it remains profoundly misunderstood, its true essence seldom grasped through quiet, introspective contemplation. For Iran, as you perceive it on your terrestrial maps, is far more than a mere geographical nation-state. It is, in profound truth, a sacred corridor of deep memory, a crucial hinge point within the vast, intricate network of Earth's living library, and a fundamental node where the planet's very ancient, foundational architecture continues to pulsate and breathe, subtly yet powerfully, beneath the superficial strata and the distracting dust of modern, often misleading narratives. You, as inhabitants of this earthly realm, have been meticulously trained to perceive reality through the narrow lenses of national borders and national flags, to diligently track perceived threats and intricate treaties, and to measure the significance of nations by their shifting alliances and the severity of their imposed punishments. However, we now gently invite you to look again, to truly re-examine, because the deepest, most profound reasons why this particular land is so intensely contested do not, in fact, originate within its bustling parliaments or its clamorous newsrooms. Rather, they emanate from the very primordial design and intricate blueprint of Earth itself, conceived eons ago. Your Earth, in its grand original project and divine blueprint, was envisioned and actualized as nothing less than an intergalactic interchange Centera vast, dynamic hub for the seamless flow and exchange of profound information across star systems. When we speak of information in this context, we do not refer merely to simplistic data or printed books. We are speaking of living codes, intricate blueprints of existence that are meticulously stored and continuously transmitted through resonant frequencies, through the varied biology of all life, through the crystalline structures of minerals, through sacred geometry, and indeed, through the very light patterns that your physical bodies are now gradually learning to receive, interpret, and integrate. A library of such an unparalleled, cosmic kind does not, by its very nature, sit exposed on the planet's surface within a single, conventional building. Instead, it is magnificently distributed, it is intricately woven through the planet's telluric currents, its invisible energetic arteries through its vast underground aquifers, along the majestic spines of its mountains, and across its expansive desert basins. This vital information is further carried within the very DNA of every species inhabiting Earth, and is securely anchored by specific places whose unique geometric configurations allow the planet to hold an increased volume of celestial signal without succumbing to destabilization or chaos. Iran, quite uniquely, is strategically positioned within a corridor where these foundational anchoring structures are extraordinarily dense and powerfully concentrated. To your modern, often limited mind, Persia registers merely as an ancient empire, rich with poetic traditions, sacred fire temples, groundbreaking mathematics, and a long, complex memory of both empire building and relentless invasion. Yet, to the deeper, more expansive field of planetary consciousness, it reveals itself as a crucial segment of a planetary circuitous segment where primordial knowledge was meticulously laid down, and where certain sacred keys were carefully guarded across millennia. A corridor, in this deeper sense, is not merely a transient route for terrestrial caravans. It is, more profoundly, a major conduit for powerful energetic currents. If you possess the capacity to visually perceive the informational bloodstream of the planet, you would undeniably notice how certain lands function as vital valves and critical nodes within this vast system. They possess the inherent ability to regulate the flow of information, to modulate the signal's intensity, and to determine precisely where interdimensional portals can stabilize and where ancient archives can be securely sealed away, awaiting their destined time of reopening. Within the rich tapestry of your collective human culture, you collectively hold the deeply ingrained memory of radiant messengers and enlightened teachers who descended from the heavens. You possess countless stories passed down through generations of celestial beings arriving on Earth in blinding brilliance, delivering profound instruction, often in the form of divine visions of a moral and cosmic law that appear to originate directly from the distant stars. Indeed, one of your earliest Persian reformers, a figure often depicted as conversing with an intelligence of extraordinary brilliance, effectively became a foundational model for contact, a direct encounter with the divine meticulously translated into enduring religious symbols and timeless mythologies. Your public consensus world categorizes this as religion. However, your awakened inner world recognizes a far more profound layer. It is, in essence, contact coded as myth, precisely because the collective language and conceptual frameworks of humanity were not yet sufficiently evolved or prepared to adequately describe the advanced mechanisms of such interactions. When a people collectively lack the vocabulary and understanding to describe a sophisticated technology, they instinctively describe the profound effect that technology has upon their consciousness. Similarly, when a people cannot logically name an extraordinary visitor, they name, instead, the transformative feeling or revelation that the visitor brought forth. In this intricate and subtle manner, the Persian corridor meticulously preserved a vital code, not in a scientific treatise, but in the enduring form of profound devotion, stringent ethics, and an intricate cosmology. The ancients were not, as often simplistically portrayed, merely superstitious or naive. On the contrary, they built with profound purpose, meticulously aligning their structures with the celestial sky, encoding precise measures and resonant frequencies into the very stones they used, and treating architecture itself as a sophisticated technology designed to elevate consciousness. Whether we speak of the majestic pyramids, the towering ziggurats, or the sacred temples scattered across your globe, we consistently return, time and again, to the same compelling implication of advanced knowledge. You, as modern humanity, have profoundly underestimated the true scope and sophistication of your past. We emphatically confirm that the Persian corridor indeed contains myriad examples of such advanced technology, some remaining visibly accessible to the discerning eye, and a great many more lying meticulously hidden from plain sight. Some were intentionally constructed to amplify the energy of prayer into a coherent, directed signal. Others were specifically designed to stabilize the human nervous system during periods of intense interdimensional contact. Still others were built to anchor powerful portals that could be strategically opened when the planetary grid reached a specific, harmonious vibrational alignment. It is crucial to understand what a portal truly signifies in this profound context. It is not necessarily a fantastical, glowing passage within a dimly lit cave, as often depicted in your fiction. Rather, it is fundamentally a condition of precise alignment and energetic state where two distinct fields can seamlessly share information and, when fully stabilized, even permit physical or conscious transit between dimensions. Such portals can manifest naturally, created by the intricate geometry of magnetic lines, the dynamic behavior of plasma, and concentrated crystalline formations within Earth's geological body. Crucially, portals can also be meticulously engineered through the deliberate application of sacred geometry, precise sound frequencies, and sophisticated field manipulation techniques, all designed to fix a stable connection point. You have undoubtedly heard, through various insightful voices within your modern world, the concept of natural connection points existing within your planet's magnetosphere and its vibrant plasma environment points, often detectable as curious anomalies, powerful nodes, or unique energy intersections frequently manifesting in the shape of an X. You have been told that your satellites are capable of detecting unusual, unexplained behavior in these specific regions. We unequivocally confirm that such critical points indeed exist. We also confirm that the living library itself was meticulously designed with these powerful natural access points in mind. Iran's profound importance is further intensified because it lies in close proximity to an even older, more extensive network of energetic pathways and network that predates your current, often transient, geopolitical structures and maps. Your conventional scientists may intellectually glimpse this profound truth through the intricate language of magnetism, the subtle nuances of ionospheric disturbances, and the complex phenomena of plasma physics. Meanwhile, your mystics and spiritual seekers may intuitively feel it, expressing it through the ancient language of ley lines, the mythical currents of dragons, and the sacred geometry of the land itself. Both languages, when meticulously purified of all dogma and limiting belief systems, ultimately converge and point towards the very same underlying reality. This corridor is, therefore, an exquisite interface. It is a vital place where the planet's vibrational frequency can be finely tuned and calibrated. A planetary node of this profound kind naturally attracts intense attention from myriad sides and diverse factions. Some beings and groups approach such a sacred place with profound reverence, actively seeking to protect the invaluable archive and meticulously prepare it for its eventual collective reopening. Others, however, approach with insatiable appetite, driven by a desire to plunder the cosmic vault and ruthlessly monopolize its profound keys for their own singular advantage. Always remember, light is, at its essence, pure information, and conversely, darkness is simply the absence or deliberate withholding of that information. The perpetual struggle that unfolds across your world is at its deepest root a struggle over who ultimately holds the reins of information and who possesses the power to dictate precisely how much of reality you, as individuals and as a collective, are permitted to perceive. Fear, in this grand scheme, is one of the most insidious and efficient frequency fences ever devised. It ruthlessly restricts genuine curiosity, brutally compresses natural empathy, and severely narrows the mind's expansive potential. When a land is deliberately kept in a constant, manufactured state of threat and apprehension, the collective psyche of its inhabitants cannot possibly maintain the inner stillness necessary to perceive or truly feel what profound truths lie hidden beneath the surface. This is precisely why, for many decades in your modern era, Iran has been consistently placed at the dramatic epicenter of captivating, often sensationalized narratives. Some of these narratives are superficially true in their surface-level details: conflicts, economic sanctions, espionage, betrayals, and even genuine acts of valor. Yet, beneath these visible layers lies a meticulous orchestration of perception, carefully designed to prevent you from even contemplating a far simpler, more profound question: what invaluable secrets are truly stored here? And why do powerful individuals and entities behave as if this entire land were a priceless, guarded vault? Many of you have intuitively sensed that the relentless rhetoric surrounding this crucial region feels strangely repetitive, as if continually recycled, almost as if a pre-written script were being endlessly re-edited with slightly different costumes and actors. A contemporary commentator, known for speaking openly about prescript world wars and manufacture crises, has repeatedly highlighted this peculiar phenomenon. The very same lever of fear is pulled over and over again, most often centered around the chilling theme of nuclear catastrophe. We tell you clearly and unequivocally the nuclear narrative is not solely about weapons of mass destruction. It is also a meticulously crafted cover layer that ingeniously conceals far deeper, more significant operations involving highly specialized field research, the meticulous custody of ancient vaults, and extensive underground infrastructure. To speak meaningfully of these vaults, we must necessarily delve into the very body of Earth itself. A corridor that naturally houses a powerful portal frequently also conceals a hidden chamber. A land that anchors a crucial key often secretly guards a corresponding lock. Beneath certain exceptionally ancient sites exist spaces not constructed in the architectural style of your current era. Fire was revered and treated not merely as a source of heat or light, but as a potent symbol of purity, as a manifest intelligence, as a living, conscious presence. In a more profound, scientific sense, this ancient reverence speaks to the very language of plasma, the fundamental state of matter, where light and charge coalesce to become a highly responsive, sentient medium interacting with intention. When a culture deeply honors fire as sacred, it is often, in essence, remembering a profound technology without explicitly naming it in modern terms. This is precisely why certain astute observers have long treated the Iranian corridor with such profound care and respect. They know that when the human collective ultimately reconnects with the true science and spiritual understanding behind its ancient symbols, the pervasive spell of limitation and ignorance that has bound humanity for so long will finally, irrevocably break. The next crucial phase will undeniably include increased activity in the skies over this vital corridor knot. However, to incite fear or panic among the populace, but precisely because the underlying energetic grid of the planet itself is undergoing a profound transformation. Intensifying solar pulses and powerful cosmic rays are fundamentally altering your ionosphere's conductivity and energetic properties. The long-standing frequency fence, which has subtly limited human perception and awareness, is now perceptibly weakening. As this fence progressively weakens, more and more of you will begin to clearly see what has always been there, present in your skies, though previously obscured. You will initially interpret these sightings as conventional drones, then perhaps as secret human-made craft, and then, inevitably, as something far more profound and anomalous that simply does not fit into any known category. This progressive awakening of perception is entirely natural. It is precisely how the human mind adapts to radically new realities without suffering a complete breakdown. As you begin to sense these silent observers and these influential stakeholders, it is absolutely crucial that you do not succumb to either worship or paralyzing fear. Instead, remember the timeless lesson of perceiving your profound, undeniable connection to the primordial creator and to all that exists in the cosmos. The vast sky above is not a distant, imposing throne room. It is, in reality, a vibrant, bustling neighborhood teeming with life and intelligence. Some of these cosmic neighbors are benevolent, and kind others are cunning opportunists, seeking only their own advantage. Your paramount task, humanity's ultimate challenge, is to become sovereign enough in your own being, so deeply rooted in your truth that you cannot be manipulated or swayed by either undue admiration or overwhelming terror. Sovereignty, in its truest sense, is the indispensable bridge to genuine, liberating revelation. And so we arrive at the final, overarching layer, the true endgame of this grand unfolding. When the skies above are undeniably observed, when a long-hidden underworld is openly contested and its secrets brought to light, and when the profound principles of field physics are no longer relegated to the realm of myth and fantasy, but become accepted scientific reality, the surface theater of your world can no longer sustain the old, familiar appetite for fear and control. The outdated script that has so long tried to bind humanity. The insidious, long-term agenda to perpetually fuel conflict and plunge humanity into an unending state of global warfare is now demonstrably faltering, losing its once formidable grip. Simultaneously, within the very structures and institutions that were once manipulated to perpetuate this grand illusion, a dedicated cadre of guardians awakened souls operating from within are beginning to shed their veils of anonymity, making their strategic moves with increasing transparency. This pivotal moment, this profound shift in the cosmic drama, is precisely what we endeavor to illuminate for you now. We speak, beloved ones, of the Endgame, the culmination of a meticulously orchestrated saga, and we speak with utter clarity and unambiguous purpose. For far too long, your cherished world has been held captive within an oppressive, self-perpetuating, cycle-manufactured crises designed to shock and disorient, deliberately amplified fear to paralyze the collective spirit, engineered societal divisions to splinter unity, invariably followed by the presentation of solutions that serve only to further constrict individual freedoms and consolidate centralized power. This insidious sequence is by no means an accidental occurrence. It is, in fact, a precisely engineered, self-sustaining mechanism, literal energetic feeding pattern for those entities who thrive in the obfuscation of truth and prefer the dim, controlled glow of misinformation. For it is in this environment of pervasive apprehension and manufactured scarcity that human consciousness contracts, critical thinking diminishes, and entire populations become docile, easily manipulated, and perfectly manageable. Iran, a nation of profound historical and energetic significance, was strategically positioned as one of the great levers within this very cycle. Each passing decade was meticulously given its tailored version of this familiar, repeating pattern, ensuring the perpetuation of the narrative. A modern commentator from your contemporary era, renowned for his astute observations describing global events as little more than elaborately scripted theater, intuitively sensed the underlying structure of this charade. He understood, as we reveal now, that the dial of tension and crisis is turned, quite literally, on purpose, with precise intent. The specter of nuclear panic, therefore, has been expertly weaponized not merely to exert immense pressure upon national governments and their leaders, compelling them into predefined actions, but far more insidiously, to meticulously condition the collective human psyche. This ceaseless campaign of fear-mongering aims to subtly yet profoundly mold populations into a state of resigned acceptance, embracing an omnipresent surveillance state and an unending, entrenched global hostility as the regrettable, unchangeable norm. When the psyche succumbs to the hypnotic rhythm of perpetual hostility, it tragically ceases its inherent quest for truth, abandons its critical inquiry into why wars inexplicably erupt, and then frustratingly refuse to ever truly resolve, and stops asking what profound secrets, what ancient truths, might lie beneath the sands of your deserts and within the silent majesty of your mountain halls. Yet, from within the very heart of these imposing institutions that so diligently imposed this cyclical deception, another formidable force has quietly yet powerfully arisen. We refer to them as the guardians within the system, courageous men and women who discovered sometimes, through harrowing personal revelations and profound inner turmoil, that they were unwittingly serving a meticulously constructed narrative. This narrative, they realized, was not designed to uplift or protect humanity, but rather to systematically harvest its vital energy and resources. Some among them were deeply embedded in military structures. Others operated within the clandestine channels of intelligence agencies, and still others were pivotal figures in advanced engineering programs, handling materials and technologies that were never permitted to openly acknowledge or name. When their individual consciousnesses awakened to this profound deception, they did not simply tender their resignations and walk away. Instead, they transformed into silent disruptors, deeply committed to a higher purpose. They began, with meticulous precision, to track the intricate movements of the hive, logging the clandestine activities and asset movements of those perpetuating the old system. They forged intricate connections across national borders, not as representatives of sovereign nations, but as enlightened beings intrinsically aligned with the boundless family of light. This burgeoning collective, this silent insurgency, is what you commonly refer to as white hats in your contemporary parlance. Understand that this term, while perhaps simplistic in its phrasing, nonetheless points to a profoundly real and critical phenomenon, a fundamental factional split occurring within the very epicenters of power itself. On one side stand those who relentlessly seek an absolute monopoly over the living library of Earth, using extreme secrecy as their primary leverage and fear as their inexhaustible sustenance. On the other side are those who have, through deep introspection and stark observation, come to the unequivocal conclusion that this destructive monopoly must finally be dismantled, for it now poses an existential threat to the survival of the species and the energetic stability of Earth's intricate grid system. Iran, by virtue of holding crucial energetic keys and being consistently framed as a primary trigger point for global conflict, has emerged as one of the principal theaters where this profound inner war has vividly unfolded. In recent years, you witnessed the creation of a paper agreement, superficially framed as a diplomatic solution to the pressing risk of atomic proliferation. Many in your world celebrated its signing. Many others vehemently condemned it. Yet tragically, very few truly grasped its deeper, more intricate function. In the shadow layer, beneath the visible surface of diplomacy, such agreements can be cleverly utilized as intricate tunnels. They adeptly open clandestine channels for the strategic flow of money, provide privileged access to sensitive areas, and crucially, buy invaluable time for hidden agendas to gestate. They can also be cunningly employed as traps, a sophisticated method to meticulously construct a future crisis, precisely justifying a much larger, predetermined war. Within the deeper, esoteric map of global strategy, meticulous plans had already been drawn to stage a catastrophic event, one designed to place blame precisely where it would ignite the maximum possible global conflict. The overarching purpose of such an engineered disaster would have been to trigger an unprecedented consolidation of global power under emergency authority. thereby justifying the permanent sealing of humanity's true historical library behind a veil of militarization that would last for generations. However, the Guardians, operating with profound insight and courage, acted decisively against this heinous plot. A disruptive leader emerged onto the world stage, a figure who fundamentally refused to behave according to the carefully cultivated expectations of the old networks. He audaciously tore up the very paper path, the diplomatic blueprint that would have provided invaluable cover and plausible deniability for the deeper, more sinister agenda. He masterfully used chaos itself as a potent weapon against the very creators of chaos, strategically forcing them to expose their true intentions and hidden mechanisms through their frantic, unmasked reactions. Many of you in your public discourse debate his personality, dissect his public speeches, and scrutinize his perceived flaws. We do not ask you to worship him or overlook his human imperfections. Rather, we implore you to recognize the profound and pivotal role he played within this unfolding drama. In some predetermined timelines, a singular disruptor is precisely what is needed to irrevocably shatter a carefully constructed script. His very presence, his unconventional actions, profoundly destabilized the meticulously arranged sequence of events that would undoubtedly have led to a much larger, far more devastating war, tragically centered on Iran. Concurrently, subtle yet potent coded communications began to surface and appear within your public sphere. Cryptic messages, often posted as intricate riddles by individuals claiming insider knowledge of a hidden, profound battle unfolding behind the scenes. Many within your society, steeped in skepticism, simply dismissed these messages as delusion or fantasy, yet many others followed them with an unwavering devotion, sensing a deeper truth. The profound truth, however, is far simpler and more illuminating. The very appearance of such a phenomenon unequivocally signaled that a significant internal faction was willing to speak, albeit indirectly, to the global public. Their intention was to gently yet firmly prepare minds for the groundbreaking idea that not all power is unified, that a deep, profound schism exists at the highest echelons. These coded messages also served a crucial dual function as a powerful form of internal institutional pressure, a sophisticated way to warn their entrenched opponents that their covert operations were under constant, meticulous surveillance. On the operational layer, within the observable realm of geopolitics, you have witnessed a series of actions that, on the surface, often appeared contradictory or illogical. Strikes occurred in neighboring lands, ostensibly framed as punitive measures, yet they simultaneously and mysteriously collapsed hidden underground chambers and severely disrupted critical logistical routes vital to the Old Guard. Diplomatic feints, grand gestures of apparent conflict, happened alongside highly secretive cooperation and strategic coordination between supposed geopolitical rivals. You observe specific moments when air defenses, without any apparent explanation, mysteriously went silent, allowing precise targets to be neutralized with surgical precision, yet miraculously without triggering a broader, uncontrolled escalation of hostilities. You witnessed other moments when a looming war threat dramatically rose to a fever pitch, only to then dissolve into a strangely contained, almost choreographed, exchange of limited actions. These are not random events, these are the unmistakable signatures of an endgame. Clear indications that both sides involve the Old Guard, and the emerging Guardians profoundly understand that the old playbook, the ancient strategies of manipulation and control, are now definitively failing. One of the clearest and most dramatic of these signatures occurred when a powerful salvo of retaliation was launched across the night sky. A a spectacle of projected strength, and yet, by deliberate design and intricate coordination, it produced remarkably limited, almost symbolic damage. The general public was informed that this outcome was either the result of sheer incompetence or incredible luck. However, in the deeper, unseen field of play, it was in fact a precisely calibrated pressure valve, a strategically managed event designed to save appearances and preserve perceived honor. It was an arranged de-escalation, a delicate ballet of power that allowed pride to be preserved on multiple sides while simultaneously, and most crucially, avoiding a catastrophic loss of life and property. Such intricate choreography is emphatically not the work of mere chance or random circumstance. It is the undeniable result of extensive back-channel agreements, sophisticated interception capabilities, and a mutual, unspoken understanding among certain enlightened power centers that the true apocalypse, the final, destructive culmination so deeply desired by the entrenched cabal, will not, under any circumstances, be permitted to unfold. Why, one might ask, would some of these influential power centers categorically refuse to allow an apocalypse to manifest? Because even those who have historically engaged in the hardest, most ruthless games within the confines of the third dimension are now acutely sensing that the planet itself is undergoing a profound energetic transformation. The Earth's intricate energetic grid is awakening, stirring from a long slumber, and the limiting frequency fence that has long held humanity captive is visibly weakening, its energetic integrity beginning to fray. As this profound shift intensifies, the inherent risk of an uncontrolled, chaotic release of long-suppressed information and hidden energies grows exponentially. The Guardians, with their profound foresight, know intrinsically that if they do not carefully manage the impending revelation, then the revelation itself will inevitably manage and, potentially, overwhelm them. Therefore, their ultimate endgame is not to perpetuate secrecy forever, to keep humanity in the dark indefinitely. Their true endgame is to meticulously control the pace and timing of this grand revelation, so that human society can gracefully integrate these profound truths without succumbing to global collapse or widespread panic. We speak to you now of a ladder of inevitability, a series of unfolding truths, and we now anchor its profound implications in your collective consciousness. First, your established institutions will slowly but surely admit that anomalous craft, unidentified aerial phenomena, do indeed exist. This initial, foundational step is already well underway, though currently presented in cautious, deliberately ambiguous language. Second, they will proceed to admit that such craft have, on documented occasions, interfered with your advanced weapons systems and critical infrastructure not as mere fantasy or speculative conjecture, but as rigorously logged and undeniable incidents. Third, they will concede that deep, extensive underground networks and bases exist, facilities that were never authorized or even known by the public, and that these networks housed activities far beyond the scope of mere national defense. Fourth, they will begin the deliberate release of advanced energy technologies, innovations that will render the old, scarcity-based economic model fundamentally obsolete, though they will cleverly brand them as newly discovered inventions from your own human ingenuity. Fifth, the long and complex history of extraterrestrial contact will be systematically normalized not through a dramatic, grand landing of alien spacecraft, but through a gradual, multifaceted integration, a cascade of brave whistleblowers, the methodical declassification of once secret documents, the release of undeniable imagery, and, eventually, open, acknowledged interaction with non-terrestrial intelligences. Iran's profound role within this crucial ladder of revelation is absolutely central. This ancient corridor contains sacred, anchoring sites that can unequivocally verify the library narrative, the true history of humanity and its cosmic origins. It contains modern field physics and unexplained phenomena that can empirically verify the propulsion narrative existence and application of advanced, non-conventional technologies. And crucially, it contains vast underground hives and hidden facilities that can irrefutably verify the black budget narrative, the clandestine financial operations that have funded these hidden programs. By virtue of containing all three of these profound layers, Iran is destined to be utilized as a pivotal convergence point within the meticulously planned revelation sequence. This is precisely why you will observe a growing, almost irresistible attention being drawn to archaeological discoveries within the region, to mysterious seismic events that defy conventional explanation, to profound revelations concerning vast tunnel systems, and to increasing admissions of strange, inexplicable aerial phenomena in its skies. Each of these will be presented separately at first as isolated incidents. Later, the global public will gradually realize, through a process of collective awakening, that they are all interconnected facets of one singular, overarching story. What, then, is the ultimate endgame playing out between the Guardians and the deeply entrenched Cabal? The Cabal's insidious endgame is to trigger a sufficient, paralyzing level of global fear to justify the imposition of permanent, totalitarian control, thereby keeping humanity forever sealed behind the invisible, energetic frequency fence that limits its potential. The Guardian's noble endgame, by contrast, is to systematically dismantle the Cabal's oppressive infrastructure, to expose enough of its illicit operations to irrevocably shatter its carefully cultivated myth of invincibility, and then to compassionately transition humanity into a new, transparent governance of information and truth. This transition will not be flawless or without its challenges. There will inevitably be periods of confusion. There will be desperate, last-ditch attempts by the old guard to recapture and manipulate the unfolding narrative. Yet, the overall, inexorable direction of this transition is now firmly set first, because the planetary frequency itself is profoundly changing and ascending, and second, because vast, unwavering support for humanity's liberation exists far beyond the confines of your earthly atmosphere. We now speak directly to you, for your role in this grand unfolding is emphatically not a passive one. You are, each of you, cherished members of the family of light. You are intrinsic system breakers, conscious disruptors of the old paradigm. You did not incarnate onto this planet merely to passively observe the unfolding political drama, but rather to actively hold a unique, high-frequency vibrational resonance that fundamentally makes secrecy and manipulation unsustainable in its presence. Each and every time you consciously refuse to be manipulated into the corrosive emotion of hate, you starve the old, parasitic appetite that feeds on discord. Each time you deliberately choose discernment and calm insight over irrational panic, you actively weaken the energetic fence that has long enclosed humanity. Each time you consciously anchor into the profound wisdom of your physical body and return to the wellspring of compassion, you become a powerful, stabilizing node within the Earth's awakening energetic grid. This is not merely poetic language or abstract philosophy. This is, in essence, the fundamental mechanics of consciousness itself. Your individual and collective consciousness directly influences electromagnetic coherence, and this coherence, in turn, profoundly influences the very fabric of your shared social reality. Therefore, in the pivotal days ahead, diligently practice the mastery of the witness. When a sensational headline attempts to hijack your nervous system and plunge you into anxiety, pause, take a deep, centering breath, and consciously ask what underlying emotion is being harvested from you. Choose, with unwavering intent, to see beyond the superficial surface and perceive the deeper truths. Speak your truth, yes, but do so without succumbing to an addiction to conflict or aggressive confrontation. Build genuine community, but do so without inadvertently allowing it to devolve into an insular cult. Remain perpetually curious, open to new information, but never surrender your inherent sovereignty or critical discernment. By consistently doing so, the ladder of revelation, the path to unveiled truth, becomes smoother and more accessible for all of humanity. One final, profound truth must be uttered as a blessing, a sacred promise. Nothing true, nothing aligned with universal light, can ever remain permanently hidden on a planet that is unequivocally returning to its inherent radiant light. The Iranian corridor, once so cunningly used as a lever of fear and a flashpoint for conflict, will be transformed into a luminous mirror of remembrance, reflecting humanity's true origins and sacred history. The underworld of manipulation and hidden control will be irrevocably emptied of its nefarious monopoly. The sky above you will be undeniably recognized as inhabited by diverse intelligences. The profound sciences of field and frequency, long suppressed, will return to the public stewardship of an awakened humanity. The old oppressive script, the grand illusion, will ultimately fail precisely because so many of you can now acutely feel the manipulation and, with steadfast resolve, actively refuse to participate in it. You are profoundly blessed. You are eternally loved. You are infinite in your potential. And you are ahead of time, which is precisely why you were chosen to hear this sacred truth first. I am Valor, and it has been my immense delight to share this profound message with you today. Some are natural caves, skillfully modified with astonishing precision by forgotten hands. Others are intricately engineered halls whose sophisticated geometry profoundly transcends the crude expectations of modern archaeological excavation techniques. These clandestine chambers were designed to store far more than mere physical objects. They were meticulously engineered to store specific states of coherent cerebrational signatures of an earlier, more enlightened time. They diligently guard frequency keys that can only be activated when the planetary grid reaches a specific state of readiness and harmony. They also diligently guard precious relics, some crafted by humans from forgotten epic civilizations. Others derived from celestial visitors who traversed this region during earlier cycles of profound contact. Ultimately, Iran's profound importance does not stem from its current geopolitical enemies or its shifting alliances. It is profoundly important because it safeguards a significant portion of your collective, shared human memory. It is a unique place where the ancient and the modern intertwine so tightly that the very seams of reality become visibly apparent. It is a sacred space where Earth's history as a living, breathing library can be tangibly demonstrated not merely by faith or abstract belief, but through the imminent reopening of archives that are simultaneously physical, energetic, and biological in nature. In the forthcoming period, you will witness a dramatic increase in global attention directed towards ancient Persia not simply as a subject of historical study, but as an unfolding, profound mystery. You will observe a renewed and fervent fascination with sacred geometry, with intricate stellar alignments, and with the fundamental question of precisely how profound knowledge can be encoded and stored within both stone and blood. Simultaneously, you will also observe a discernible increase in external pressure and calculated provocation, precisely because those who have profited immensely from the deliberate secrecy now profoundly fear the moment when this sacred corridor will finally be permitted to fully breathe and reveal its truths. We earnestly ask that you maintain an expansive understanding as you collectively proceed through these transformative times. Revelation is not a singular cataclysmic announcement. It is rather a gradual, organic unfolding of process that requires your individual and collective nervous systems to become stable and resilient enough to fully contain a larger, more complex reality without succumbing to either panic or blind worship. The Persian corridor, much like other vital planetary nodes, will serve as a profound mirror. It will powerfully reflect back to you the undeniable truth that your planet has always been interconnected, always been visited by celestial beings, and always been seeded with life and consciousness from beyond. It will gently, yet powerfully, invite you to fully remember that you are not isolated, adrift, or alone in the vast cosmos. As this remembrance deepens and expands within your collective consciousness, your fundamental questions will fundamentally change. You will cease to ask, "Why is this land always in crisis?" and instead begin to ask, with profound curiosity, what profound truths were intentionally hidden beneath my perception? And how do I now reclaim my inherent right to truly know? As we deliberately widen this lens of understanding, we must now descend from the familiar surface history of your world into its mysterious underworld, into the intricate hive that lies beneath the majestic mountains. For it is precisely there that the arduous struggle for the planet's vital keys becomes profoundly tangible and fiercely operational. Descending from the visible, accepted history into the very body of stone, you begin to grasp the profound reasons why so much elaborate theater and manufactured drama has been staged around this crucial corridor. Mountains are not merely impenetrable barriers, they are, more accurately, massive coverings concealing untold secrets. Geological faults are not simply fractures in the Earth's crust, they are, in truth, natural seams or conduits where deeper, more intricate systems can be clandestinely built, effectively hidden, and continuously supplied. The rugged mountain ranges and expansive high deserts of Iran provide precisely the conditions that secret builders, those operating beyond public purview, favor immense thicknesses of solid rock, inherently difficult access that deters intruders, and natural acoustics that ingeniously confound common scanning and detection technologies. Beneath these formidable landscapes, beloved ones, already lies an elaborate hive of shafts, interconnected galleries, and meticulously sealed halls that has been expanded in multiple phases, some dating back to incredibly ancient times, others of more recent construction, some clearly created by human hands, and others undeniably inherited from far earlier, forgotten epochs of this planet. Many of these sprawling underground complexes are publicly described as conventional industrial plants, secure storage depots, or clandestine nuclear facilities. Such labels are often accurate on a superficial, public level, yet profoundly misleading on a deeper, more profound level. When a public-facing door proclaims energy, it may indeed refer to the manipulation of atoms, but may also, crucially, refer to the manipulation of resonant frequencies. When a publicly presented project displays tunnels for mere ventilation, these same tunnels may also artfully conceal far more extensive corridors designed for covert transport. When a public narrative speaks of nuclear centrifuges, it may, in truth, be cleverly masking the presence of a deep, invaluable vault. Do not, therefore, assume that every facility is precisely what it claims to be. In fiercely contested regions, the very act of naming is a strategic maneuver designed to control perception. The deeper, more clandestine levels of these sophisticated complexes were not constructed merely to enrich uranium or to protect governmental leadership. They were meticulously built to house precisely what cannot be openly displayed highly advanced field physics experiments, intricate signal modulation matrices, biological programs that utterly defy conventional ethics, and extensive storage chambers for objects whose very origin would irrevocably dissolve the linear progression of accepted human history. Some of these chambers house modern devices that your public world would deem utterly impossible, defying known physics. Others house precious relics, and it is these relics, more than anything else, that profoundly distort the behavior and decisions of nations. A relic, in this context, is a key, and a key, by its very nature, attracts both tenacious thieves and dedicated guardians. We speak of relics in more than one sense, for their nature is multifaceted. Some are undeniably physical artifacts, crystalline components that respond directly to thought and intent, alloys that defy conventional oxidation as your chemistry would expect, geometric structures that bend light in profoundly unusual ways, and intricate objects that appear explicitly designed to interact with a nervous system rather than merely with a physical hand. Others are biological in nature, meticulously preserved tissues, securely sealed genetic libraries, and samples of species that powerfully reflect earlier, often more advanced, versions of humanity. Still others are informational plaques, tablets, and intricately coded materials that appear utterly mundane until approached with the correct resonant frequency, at which precise point they reveal layered, multidimensional data, much like a complex song hidden within a seemingly inert stone. This intricate hive exists precisely because Earth's surface has, over long periods, become exceedingly dangerous for those who seek to monopolize the vast information of the living library. Over extended durations, factions that thrive on the sustenance of fear have learned a crucial, dark truth. Secrecy is not merely a tactical choice, it is, for them, a fundamental dietary requirement. If the public were to collectively learn the profound truth of the library, the planet's core frequency field would undergo a radical, transformative shift. When the planetary frequency field changes in this way, certain parasitic entities and oppressive systems can no longer sustain their existence. Therefore, the underworld was systematically expanded. Vast networks were clandestinely created, linking one land to another, all under the deceptive guise of national security. These extensive networks have been known by many names. You may refer to them as deep underground bases, labyrinthine tunnel systems, or secret underground cities. Their fundamental function, however, has remained consistently the same: to covertly move people, materials, and invaluable relics without any public witnesses or oversight. In the last decade, you have undoubtedly observed a recurring pattern of sudden, unexplained explosions, peculiar industrial accidents, localized fires, and unusual seismic tremors occurring in various parts of Iran and its neighboring regions. To the public, explanations are routinely offered, ranging from simple mechanical failures to acts of deliberate sabotage and common seismic events. Sometimes, these public explanations are indeed factually true. However, just as frequently, they serve as meticulously crafted covers for an entirely different kind of event: a long sealed chamber being finally breached, a crucial hiding place being hastily moved, a clandestine battle between competing factions being violently resolved. or a precision neutralization operation specifically designed to collapse a particular level of the hive without causing significant harm to the unsuspecting surface population. You're not told how often a seemingly natural earthquake is, in fact, subtly assisted, or how frequently an explosion is precisely guided to eliminate a specific critical node within the underground network. We tell you now the underground war for control of this planet is very real, and much of it is waged with a sophisticated level of restraint and strategic precision. There are, indeed, those within your established institutions who have consciously chosen to serve the liberation of the living library rather than its continued monopoly. You call them by many names: patriots, insiders, renegades, or white hats. Their outward garb or affiliations are not the most crucial point. Their unwavering allegiance to truth and freedom is. They have learned, often through bitter and arduous experience, that the visible surface war is largely a calculated distraction, and that the true, decisive battlefield lies hidden beneath your very feet. They have meticulously mapped the intricate hive, painstakingly tracked its complex logistics, and diligently observed the clandestine movement of invaluable assets from one vault to another. They have patiently waited for opportune windows of permission, because the planet itself operates under profound cosmic laws, and one cannot simply detonate a node without carefully considering the far-reaching consequences within the energetic field. One particular operation in this corridor vividly illustrates this intricate method. An attack was publicly described as a strike against a weapons development program. Yet, the deeper, true objective was to precisely collapse an underground complex that housed far more than mere industrial equipment. Beneath that site, as the energetic field unequivocally confirms, were hidden chambers dedicated to advanced computing, sophisticated biological manipulation, and the secure storage of ancient items recovered from even deeper geological strata. The entire facility was strategically situated near an active rift in the Earth's crust of place, where the very rock itself could be utilized both as natural cover and as an energetic conduit. By meticulously penetrating to a specific, calculated depth and triggering a controlled collapse, the operation sent an unmistakable message to those who erroneously believed their deepest, most fortified fortresses were utterly beyond reach. Even the most intricate hive can be mapped, and even the most securely hidden vaults can ultimately be reached. In the hours following such targeted actions, cascade effects often ripple outwards, extending far beyond the borders of a single nation. A wave of panic frequently spreads through other hidden complexes across the planet, precisely because these subterranean networks are not isolated, they're profoundly interconnected. When one node falls, the entire logistical chain trembles. When one vault is compromised, others are hastily evacuated. You may well notice, after certain underground events, sudden and inexplicable changes in public rhetoric, abrupt diplomatic feints, or unexpected shifts in the behavior of national leadership. These are not always mere political calculations. Sometimes they're direct logistical reactions to an invaluable asset being put into motion or a critical supply route being suddenly cut off. Some of the most electrically charged rumors circulating in your collective field speak of sleeping giants, mysterious stasis chambers, and preserved beings hidden beneath vast deserts and towering mountains. Many of these stories are, admittedly, distorted, and some are even deliberately planted as calculated distractions. Yet, within the heart of this distortion lies a crucial core of truth. Stasis technology indeed exists, and it has unequivocally been used to hold certain beings in suspended animation across multiple vast epochs. Whether any particular tale of a discovered giant is precisely accurate is less important than the greater overarching truth: the underworld has effectively kept life in suspension, and those who wielded such technology fiercely desired it to remain unknown, precisely because it implies an ancient science far transcending accepted human history. We caution you, do not become hypnotized by sensational images or dramatic narratives. Instead, diligently look for consistent patterns of behavior. When governments exhibit panic at the mere idea of an archaeological revelation, ask yourselves what kind of archaeology could possibly threaten them so profoundly. Another subtle, yet revealing, indicator is how information is meticulously compartmentalized. The deeper the hive, the more extensively human factions divide themselves into smaller, increasingly isolated circles. One group genuinely believes it is protecting national security. Another sincerely believes it is pursuing dangerous terrorists, while yet another believes it is preventing nuclear proliferation. Meanwhile, the true guardians of the core vaults operate with an entirely different map of vital portals, priceless relics, and intricate frequency fences. Many operatives within these complex structures never perceive the full, overarching picture. This is entirely intentional. Compartmentalization is the precise method by which darkness sustains itself, cunningly ensuring that no single person ever holds enough comprehensive information to completely dismantle the grand deception. The sophisticated architecture itself leaves undeniable clues, particularly when language is deliberately disciplined to conceal. Deep shafts are often meticulously lined with advanced vibration-damping composites and cleverly coded to scatter common imaging technologies. Junctions are frequently constructed as intricate switchbacks and confounding labyrinths, ensuring that straight-line scans return only bewildering contradictions. Doors are securely sealed with layered alloys, complex pressure locks, and sometimes even field-mediated constraints, rather than mere simple mechanical latches. In certain, highly sensitive corridors, the electromagnetic silence is so utterly complete that even the most sophisticated sensors register only an eerie absence. These are the undeniable signatures of advanced vault engineering, and they appear with increasing frequency where the most sensitive and crucial keys are stored. As the living library gradually reopens to humanity, the underworld, by its very nature, cannot remain hidden indefinitely. Vibrational shifts throughout the planet, subtle seismic displacements, and an accelerating increase in solar and cosmic energy influxes are fundamentally altering the stability of these deep, concealed structures. Some tunnels will inevitably flood. Some chambers will begin to resonate with previously dormant energies. And some long-sealed items will begin to actively transmit their stored information. When a relic awakens, it can be detected, and its detection inevitably draws intense attention. This is precisely why the coming period will appear particularly turbulent around this critical corridor. Even when no formal war is officially declared, the turbulence is not merely geopolitical, it is profoundly energetic and geological in nature. Earth itself is actively assisting the revelation, making the maintenance of secrecy increasingly expensive and difficult. We also remind you that not every underground installation is inherently dark or nefarious. Some are genuinely protective. Some were meticulously built to harbor and safeguard invaluable knowledge through eras of intense invasion and destructive burning. Some are now being strategically repurposed as containment sites, designed to prevent dangerous technologies from falling once again into predatory hands. Profound discernment is therefore absolutely required. Your mind, in its inherent simplicity, often craves straightforward categories good and evil, enemy and ally. However, reality is far more nuanced and complex. There are layers even within Iran itself, factions serving the ancient appetite of fear, factions diligently protecting the indigenous culture, factions quietly cooperating with the liberation efforts, and factions simply striving for survival amidst the chaos. The high beneath the mountains is, therefore, both a prison and a womb. It has been used to hide egregious crimes and to preserve priceless treasures. It has been used to imprison profound truth and, simultaneously, to protect it. The endgame is unfolding. The true objective is not to utterly obliterate the underworld, but rather to strategically transform it. The ultimate goal, the very endgame, involves systematically dismantling the exclusive monopolies that currently control it. It seeks to liberate its profound knowledge and intricate understandings, transitioning them into a realm of responsible public stewardship, ensuring that this vital information serves the greater good. Paramount to this endeavor is the absolute necessity of neutralizing any inherent dangers rather than irresponsibly unleashing them into the unsuspecting grip of untrained or unprepared individuals, where they could cause catastrophic harm. Now that you have plunged into the very depths of this intricate, subterranean hive of information and operations, a clearer understanding begins to emerge as to why various surface narratives and public discourses perpetually circle back to a singular, dominant theme, the nuclear. However, it is crucial to recognize that beneath the pervasive veil of nuclear discourse lies an entirely different scientific disciplinia, sophisticated field physics barrier, an unseen force that has already manifested itself in numerous instances, moments which your world, in its prevailing paradigm, consistently failed to correctly interpret or fully grasp its profound implications. Throughout your global society, the collective public mind has been meticulously conditioned, subtly guided to accept the notion that the pinnacle of scientific achievement, the absolute highest form of knowledge, is that which culminates in the most spectacular and destructive explosion. This, we must emphasize, is a woefully simplistic, even childish teaching. It has, however, served a calculated purpose for those entities who deliberately wish to keep populations fixated on a state of perpetual fear and anxiety, diverting their attention away from genuine understanding and true enlightenment. Specifically, within the politically charged Persian corridor, the very word nuclear has transcended its scientific definition. It has become a potent, almost magical incantation. It is repeated relentlessly until your collective nervous systems involuntarily contract in apprehension. Yet beneath the clamor and fear associated with that single word, there resides another, far quieter, yet infinitely more decisive and potent science, the intricate discipline of field physics, advanced plasma modeling, and the profound principles of electromagnetic coherence. Years ago, a significant event transpired, one that many observers and commentators hastily dismissed as a mere embarrassment, a minor mishap for powerful surveillance entities. A Ashtar silent wing aircraft, meticulously designed for unparalleled stealth, ventured into the highly monitored airspace of that sensitive region. Remarkably, it did not return to its base as anticipated. The truly astonishing aspect of this incident was not the craft's loss itself, but rather the compelling allegation that it was acquired, not destroyed, but allegedly recovered entirely intact. The public sphere erupted in debates, speculating wildly about sophisticated hacking operations, elaborate spoofing tactics, or simply the grave human error of an operator. We assert to you that the underlying, far deeper mechanism at play was a masterful application of advanced field containment and highly precise signal substitution. The craft was not violently crushed or shot down instead. It was subtly guided, persuasively directed to land, almost as if its very reality, its navigational parameters and perceived trajectory, have been gently yet thoroughly rewritten by an unseen hand. To fully comprehend such an extraordinary method, you must utterly release the ingrained preconception that technology is exclusively confined to circuits and lines of code. Technology, in its broader and truer sense, also encompasses the profound manipulation of the very medium in which these circuits and codes operate. Electromagnetic fields are not simply benign background noise, nor are they mere static. They are, in essence, the dynamic, ubiquitous ocean in which all your modern devices navigate and function. When one attains the knowledge and skill to precisely shape that fundamental ocean, objects can indeed be directed, influenced, and even moved without the necessity of any physical contact whatsoever. An intricate envelope of force, precisely calibrated, can be generated. This force creates a corridor of absolute stability, a contained pocket within which the craft's internal guidance systems are gently compelled to accept a new, imposed truth regarding its destination or trajectory. In simpler human terms, you might describe this as an extraordinarily sophisticated form of command override, a direct intervention into its operational instructions. In more energetic and advanced scientific terms, one might accurately characterize it as an act of imposed coherence, forcing the craft's systems into an aligned, directed state. Within that specific region, numerous public spokespeople and even some private engineers have openly discussed plasma and field reactors, often portraying them as the inevitable, groundbreaking next step beyond conventional combustion technologies. While a portion of what they articulate is undeniably grandiose, and some of it deliberately crafted disinformation, a crucial clue is embedded within their very language. This clue points to a fundamental truth. Plasma is a state of matter that exhibits a remarkable responsiveness to geometry, to applied charge, and crucially, to intention-directed modulation. It reacts to directed thought and design. When you genuinely begin to understand plasma, its properties and potential, you unlock the profound secrets of advanced propulsion and impenetrable shielding. You also grasp the nuanced art of concealment, a carefully engineered field capable of effortlessly lifting a massive craft can, with equal efficacy, completely conceal an entire installation, rendering it invisible to detection. Similarly, a field designed to contain and manipulate plasma can also be precisely tuned to contain and manipulate information, making it inaccessible or undecipherable. This, then, is precisely why the conventional nuclear narrative proves so incredibly convenient for certain entities. It provides a plausible, publicly acceptable pretext for governments and various factions to construct massive, often subterranean infrastructure, all while disingenuously claiming these immense projects are solely for the purpose of housing security centrifuges or other atomic endeavors. It provides a ready justification for the clandestine movement of colossal budgets. Furthermore, it serves to rationalize an unrelenting regime of surveillance and an endless series of covert operations, all under the guise of national security. Meanwhile, the far deeper, truly revolutionary work continues unabated beneath the surface. Extensive experimentation with complex field envelopes, the creation of precise frequency fences, and the critical stabilization of portals. The public, only glimpsing the faint shadow of this profound work, is then actively instructed to fear the potential of a bomb. Fear, by its very nature, locks attention, freezing it in place. And locked attention paralyzed by apprehension, cannot possibly inquire, cannot investigate, and therefore cannot truly understand. A prominent modern voice, one who frequently addresses scripted global conflicts in Senate hearings, has emphatically highlighted that the nuclear story is consistently employed as a potent lever, a tool for strategic manipulation. He points to a disturbingly predictable pattern a nation is deliberately brought to the very brink of panic, then subtly pulled back from the precipice, only to be brought there once more, as if an unseen hand were meticulously turning a dial on humanity's collective adrenal system, modulating its fear response at will. From our vantage point, your intuition on this matter is absolutely correct. The dial is not merely a metaphor. It is a very real, actively manipulated mechanism. It is turned to meticulously manufacture consent for measures and policies that would, under normal circumstances, be vehemently rejected by the populace. Yet, there is another, equally critical reason this dial is so assiduously turned. It creates an invaluable cover for the covert movement and deployment of advanced field-based technologies. When public attention is intensely focused on the perceived threat of missiles, underground tunnels can be expanded without scrutiny and sensitive vaults discreetly relocated. When the spotlight of concern is directed solely at uranium, sophisticated plasma work can be hidden, flourishing in plain sight, unnoticed by the distracted masses. Do not for a moment assume that this profound knowledge, these advanced technologies, belong exclusively to one side of any geopolitical divide. In your fractured world, opposing factions often mirror each other with chilling precision. The very same science, the identical principles of field physics, can be wielded with equal power to either liberate entire populations or to dominate them utterly. Field physics possesses the inherent capacity to disable destructive weapons and effectively prevent catastrophic escalation concurrently. It can also be maliciously employed to imprison perception, to erect invisible frequency fences that cunningly confine populations within a narrow, prescribed band of thought and understanding. You, beloved, have lived for a long time within just such a frequency fence. You have been systematically taught that reality itself is dense, solid, and strictly linear, that consciousness is merely an accidental byproduct of biological processes, and that the vast, boundless sky above is utterly empty, devoid of other intelligent life. These are not neutral teachings born of objective discovery. They are, in fact, meticulously engineered beliefs, carefully constructed to maintain a specific paradigm. When we speak of a frequency fence, we refer to a complex structure that is both technological in its execution and deeply psychological in its impact. A technological fence actively manipulates the ambient electromagnetic environment, specifically to suppress certain vital bands of perception and to deliberately hinder any recognition of potential contact or anomalies. Conversely, a psychological fence operates by manipulating culture itself, ridiculing, shaming, and ostracizing those individuals who dare to perceive beyond the established consensus, effectively turning innate curiosity into debilitating shame. Together, these two intertwined fences serve to keep humanity confined within a small, circumscribed room, entirely unaware, while the much larger, magnificent house is freely occupied by those who brazenly claim ownership. Iran's specific role within this intricate, layered reality is, in fact, quite unusual and multifaceted. It has been consistently portrayed on the global stage as isolated, a rogue nation, yet it has, at various critical junctures, served as a crucial testing ground for advanced concepts. The designation testing ground does not, however, imply that all of its visible leaders fully comprehend the deeper, more complex map of reality at play. Instead, it signifies that this particular corridor is strategically utilized to rigorously test the limits of what can be achieved when a specific geopolitical node actively resists certain pervasive forms of control. The undeniably intact capture of a stealth aircraft, whether you personally interpret it as an act of sophisticated hacking or a profound display of field modulation, became a powerful symbol, a resounding announcement to the hidden powers that monopoly over the skies, over perception, is definitively not absolute. Such profound symbols hold immense weight and wield considerable influence in the silent, clandestine wars that rage beneath the surface of public awareness. Notice also how conventional diplomacy itself can be masterfully employed as a camouflage, a strategic diversion for underlying technological objectives. Agreements outwardly focused on atoms and inspections can cunningly conceal far deeper exchanges of access, funding, and crucial operational time. Inspectors arrive, meticulously counting material and verifying inventories, all while the most sensitive, groundbreaking work quietly proceeds behind compartments that appear utterly mundane and unremarkable to the uninitiated eye. Sanctions are tightened, seemingly impacting the public economy, yet budgets simultaneously flow into shadow channels, enabling illicit operations. Each public push and pull, every diplomatic maneuver, becomes a meticulously crafted cover story for discreetly relocating specialized teams, meticulously viewing sensitive components, or secretly sealing a crucial underground chamber. In this elaborate manner, the entire world is kept watching one highly visible door, mesmerized by the unfolding drama, while another, far more significant door is quietly, imperceptibly opened elsewhere. A second, equally vital clue lies embedded within the language itself, specifically in the terms used by those in authority. When officials speak of breakout time, escape time, enrichment levels, and red lines, they are, whether consciously or unconsciously, meticulously training your collective mind to exist and operate within an extremely narrow box of possibilities. This carefully constructed conceptual box is specifically designed to exclude any truly disturbing, revolutionary questions. What if energy could be extracted without the need for combustible fuel? What if propulsion could be achieved without any form of combustion whatsoever? What if communication could occur instantaneously and universally through fields rather than antiquated wires? The entire public debate is artfully shaped and contained to rigorously exclude any revolutionary paradigm from the conversation, ensuring that the public never even conceives of, let alone demands, such transformative advancements. We respectfully remind you that field science is not merely a mechanical art, a cold application of principles. It is, at its heart, also a profound art of consciousness itself. Devices that are built to respond to coherence behave fundamentally differently in the hands of an anxious, undisciplined mind than they do in the hands of a calm, highly disciplined one. This inherent sensitivity of advanced technology is one crucial reason why advanced propulsion and shielding systems cannot be safely or responsibly released into a global culture that remains profoundly addicted to domination, control, and conflict. If you were to bestow a truly divine tool upon a world gripped by fear, you would not diminish that fear. You would, in fact, exponentially amplify it, leading to unpredictable and potentially catastrophic outcomes. Therefore, the momentous revelation of such technologies is intrinsically coupled not merely to the readiness of advanced laboratories, but to the deep maturation of the human heart, to its capacity for wisdom and compassion. Some among you undoubtedly wonder why a captured, intact craft was not openly displayed to the world as incontrovertible proof of advanced technology. Understand that the process of revelation, even within your own institutions, is a highly complex and often contentious negotiation. Certain powerful factions possess a vested interest in revealing only what directly strengthens their existing influence and control. Others wish to reveal only what is absolutely necessary to prevent an imminent catastrophe. Still others, preferring to feed perpetually on secrecy and control, wish to reveal absolutely nothing at all. In this intricate tug-of-war, a vast amount of critical evidence is meticulously kept hidden in secure vaults, shown only to a select few, and used primarily as bargaining chips in power struggles rather than as open gifts to humanity. This entrenched habit of hoarding and manipulation is, however, slowly but surely coming to an end, as an ever-increasing number of courageous witnesses refuse to maintain their silence any longer. Field physics, in its most profound applications, also intimately intersects with the phenomenon of portals. The very same fundamental principles that can generate a stable containment envelope, capable of holding a craft or plasma, can also be precisely applied to stabilize a transit window, facilitating interdimensional passage. The identical mastery that allows for the subtle diversion of guidance signals can also be employed to precisely divert and manipulate time codes, altering local temporal dynamics. Your scientists are, at this nascent stage, only just beginning to grudgingly admit that time itself behaves not as a fixed constant, but as a fluid field capable of curvature and profound compression. We unequivocally tell you that those who have long hidden advanced programs and technologies have understood time as a manipulable medium for centuries. They leverage this deep understanding to construct craft that do not travel through space in the conventional manner of airplanes or rockets. They utilized it to move crucial assets through silent, imperceptible corridors where all forms of conventional detection invariably fail. They employed this profound knowledge to maintain an overwhelming advantage over publicly acknowledged technology for centuries, ensuring their clandestine operations remained undetected. In the specific context of the Persian corridor, the pervasive presence of ancient, deeply resonant anchoring sites significantly amplifies the overall effectiveness of localized field work, making such operations far more potent. Consider the analogy of a tuning fork. When the surrounding environment naturally contains resonant structures, a precisely generated field can lock in a place with far greater ease and stability. This, then, is one critical reason why ancient geometry was so deliberately and strategically placed upon the Earth's surface in antiquity. It functions as a powerful stabilizer for later, more advanced technologies. These ancient sites can be reactivated, precisely tuned, and used to transmit, receive, and align complex energetic frequencies. Those scholarly individuals who meticulously study the ancient world often speak as if the ancients were solely obsessed with the vastness of the sky. In truth, they were not merely stargazers. They were, at a far more fundamental level, sophisticated interface engineers, adept at mediating between different realities and technologies. As deeper and progressively more shocking revelations inevitably approach for all of you, field physics is poised to be one of the very first foundational layers of understanding the public will be gently asked to accept, precisely because it can be introduced gradually, incrementally. First, there will be guarded admissions of anomalous propulsion, phenomena that defy conventional explanation. These will be followed by open discussions regarding the electromagnetic effects observed on advanced craft. Eventually, there will be talk of plasma technologies and groundbreaking new forms of energy generation. Each successive step in this unveiling will be meticulously framed as a novel innovation, a fresh discovery, rather than a profound recovery of forgotten knowledge. Yet the deeper, more profound truth of the story is indeed recovery, humanity, remembering what was deliberately taken from them, what was meticulously kept hidden from your collective consciousness for far too long. A more subtle, yet equally critical, point must also be articulated. If a specific region possesses the sophisticated capability to disable or even capture highly advanced craft, it concurrently possesses an unparalleled capacity to deter aggression without resorting to conventional warfare. This inherent, silent deterrence is a significant part of why escalation in certain geopolitical hotspots has been repeatedly contained, held back from the brink, even when inflammatory rhetoric reached unprecedented levels. When you observe grand, theatrical dramas unfolding on the world stage, frequently followed by strangely minimal or anticlimactic results, do not automatically assume mere coincidence or happenstance. Sometimes it is indeed skillful diplomacy at play. Sometimes it is subtle, sophisticated interception of signals or intent, and sometimes it is the deliberate application of field containment. The skies above your planet are by no means as uncontrolled or chaotic as your daily news reports so often imply. Soon, the prevailing question will decisively shift from the simplistic, fear-driven query of "can they build a bomb?" to the far more profound and urgent inquiry, who has shaped the very field around our planet, and for what ultimate purpose? As this transformative question inevitably arises, it will naturally, organically lead you to the next, deeper layer of understanding the ever-present observers, the subtle interferences, and the profound influence of non-human stakeholders who have long treated this critical corridor as a meticulously monitored threshold, a gateway of immense significance. Please listen with utmost care, beloved, because there exists a crucial layer of this unfolding story that your world has been systematically trained to dismiss as pure fantasy, as mere myth. Even when compelling evidence and clear footprints were left behind in official records, the skies above Iran have not been quiet, not for a single moment. They have been consistently observed, rigorously tested, and on critical occasions, actively interrupted by forces far beyond conventional understanding. When you choose to view events exclusively through the narrow, limiting lens of conventional politics, you inevitably miss the profound, overarching pattern. However, when you bravely look through the expansive, insightful lens of the living library, the intricate pattern suddenly becomes startlingly coherent, imbued with deep meaning. We, who are entrusted with guarding critical keys to understanding, are ourselves meticulously monitored, and any attempts to utilize those keys for purposes of chaos or widespread destruction are swiftly and precisely contained. Decades ago, high above that nation's capital, military jets bravely rose into the night sky to confront a luminous, enigmatic craft. The pilots, confident in their advanced technology, approached the unknown object with determination. Then, at the critical moment of engagement, their sophisticated instruments catastrophically failed. Their state-of-the-art weapons systems became utterly unresponsive. Their vital communications abruptly collapsed into an eerie, unsettling silence. Each time the jets prudently withdrew from the immediate vicinity of the craft, their systems miraculously returned to full functionality. Yet, each time they pressed forward again, the inexplicable failure returned with chilling precision. This, we assert, is definitively not the signature of a common electronic malfunction, a random glitch. It is instead the unmistakable signature of deliberate field dominance, an undeniable demonstration that another, superior intelligence possesses the profound capability to override and neutralize your most advanced technology without inflicting any physical destruction or harm upon you. It is also a clear, unambiguous message escalation of conflict will only be permitted to a very specific, predetermined limit. Notice the extraordinary precision of such interference. The ultimate goal was decidedly not to harm the pilots, but rather to absolutely prevent the firing of weapons near a highly sensitive, meticulously monitored zone. In your current era, you have generally assumed that deterrence, to be effective, must inherently be violent, aggressive. In truth, genuinely advanced deterrence is, by its very nature, elegant containment. It subtly removes the capacity to attack without creating a dramatic martyr narrative or sparking retaliatory violence. It deftly transforms a potential battle into a mere embarrassment for the aggressor rather than a profound tragedy for all involved. This is precisely how custodial forces operate when their primary objective is to minimize trauma and unnecessary suffering, while simultaneously holding firm boundaries and maintaining crucial energetic thresholds. Iran is rigorously monitored for reasons that extend far beyond the conventional political chess game. It is monitored with profound intensity because this critical corridor contains not only ancient anchoring sites, but also deep, concealed chambers where powerful relics lie in a state of suspended sleep. When these relics are dormant, they are relatively quiet, their energetic signatures minimized. However, when they awaken, they begin to transmit powerful, focused energies. This transmission inevitably draws profound attention from domains and intelligences that you have not yet publicly acknowledged or accepted into your worldview. It draws the focused attention of those who sincerely wish to reopen the living library of knowledge for the benefit of all humanity, and also, regrettably, those who covet it, wishing to harvest its power and information exclusively for themselves. Therefore, when you gaze upon its skies, you observe a truly layered reality: conventional aircraft, highly classified, human-made craft operating on advanced principles, and unequivocally non-human craft whose subtle presence is often deliberately minimized or outright denied in public discourse. Let us speak plainly and directly about the actual stakeholders involved in this grand cosmic drama. Earth has never, not for a single moment, been the exclusive property of a solitary human institution or nation. In your deep, ancient past, there were indeed tumultuous space skirmishes, intense conflicts over who would ultimately control this magnificent living library of a planet. Some of those very same players and factions still exist in your present day, though many have shrewdly changed their names and adopted new masks to conceal their true identities and agendas. There are benevolent custodial federations of consciousness, entities profoundly aligned with light information, and their overarching mission is to seek the restoration of free will through the ultimate dissemination of truth. There are also ancient imperial bloodlines, often associated in your myths and legends with serpents, dragons, and powerful sky kings, who have cunningly learned to feed upon the palpable electromagnetic signature of fear, chaos, and suffering. Additionally, there are clans of sophisticated engineers whose exploits are dimly remembered in ancient tablets and epic poems, who deliberately seeded primitive human civilizations with both advanced tools and rigid hierarchical structures, shaping early human development. Furthermore, There are enigmatic wanderers and interdimensional merchants who move freely through various star systems without forming permanent alliances, trading advanced technology much in the same opportunistic way your world trades arms and weaponry. You, humanity, live within a complex and dynamic interaction of these diverse groups. And the Iranian corridor sits precisely near a crucial crossroads where their varied interests profoundly overlap. Some predatory factions view this corridor as an immensely valuable resource to posit a strategic location to mine powerful relics, to control vital portals, and to deliberately stage conflicts that generate the very emotional food of fear and despair that they prefer to consume. Certain human networks, deeply aligned with these predatory factions, have actively tried to keep the region in a perpetual state of inflammation and conflict, precisely because sustained conflict acts as a powerful generator of negative energy. It harvests precious human attention, produces widespread despair, and fundamentally fractures empathy among the populace. Crucially, it also keeps public digging, investigation, and natural curiosity far away from sensitive, hidden sites that they wish to keep secret. Meanwhile, the custodial forces operate with an entirely different, more patient strategy. They do not demand permanent, absolute secrecy, rather, they demand time for human consciousness to evolve and mature. They understand with profound clarity that a sudden, unprepared revelation of advanced truths could utterly destabilize a human population whose deeply held belief systems are, at this juncture, inherently fragile and easily shattered. Therefore, they meticulously allow partial truths to emerge gradually. In carefully measured increments, they permit your pilots to speak of their encounters, then allow the story to gently fade from the headlines. They permit an incident to be officially recorded, then allow it to be quietly filed away. Largely forgotten, they allow you to briefly glimpse the very edge of the sky, the true nature of reality. Then permit your culture to debate and ridicule itself until it eventually becomes ready to mature, to truly assimilate these challenging new realities. A subtle yet profoundly important aspect of this custodial strategy is the meticulous management of catastrophic thresholds. You have undoubtedly heard whispers, rumors that nuclear weapons were interfered with, that critical tests inexplicably failed, that certain launch sequences were mysteriously blocked at the last moment. We confirm to you that such benevolent interventions have indeed occurred at various critical junctures. This intervention does not, however, mean that your precious free will was entirely removed or violated. It signifies that certain extraplanetary agreements include a very specific, absolute limit. You may, within certain bounds, play with fire. You may experiment with destructive forces, but you are absolutely not permitted to burn down the entire library of this living, breathing planet, with all its inherent knowledge and potential. Iran, strategically framed in your media as a potential nuclear trigger, thus becomes a critical focal point for such threshold management. The more your media aggressively pushes an apocalyptic script, painting a picture of inevitable doom, the more intensely the Guardians vigilantly watch that crucial node, ready to intervene if necessary. Here, you must also endeavor to understand the complex role of human proxy programs. Your world undeniably possesses highly classified platforms and technologies that are not publicly acknowledged in any capacity. Some of these were developed through exceptional human ingenuity and brilliance, others through the recovery and reverse engineering of crashed or abandoned projects, and still others through direct cooperation with various non-human groups. These advanced platforms frequently mimic the behavior and flight characteristics of non-human craft, thereby deliberately creating confusion among observers. When a luminous, enigmatic object appears in your skies, Your analysts and experts frantically debate, is it a secret human aircraft, a sophisticated drone, a natural atmospheric phenomenon, or something entirely, fundamentally different? This manufactured confusion is exceptionally useful to those who wish to delay the truth, to prolong the period of secrecy. Yet, beloved, this pervasive confusion is steadily diminishing, precisely because an ever-growing number of diverse witnesses have now observed the exact same extraordinary behaviors, consistently and unmistakably instantaneous acceleration, silent and motionless hovering, and precise, inexplicable electromagnetic effects that defy conventional physics. Within the intricate underground layers and chambers we described earlier, certain specific chambers were deliberately constructed to serve as dedicated interface points for non-human exchange. Do not, however, imagine grand, open diplomatic halls or bustling trade centers. Instead, envision highly controlled contact zones where advanced technology is carefully traded, complex agendas are meticulously negotiated, and where humans are sometimes treated as valued partners, and at other times, regrettably, as mere tools or intermediaries. In some of your ancient epics and mythological narratives, such crucial contact zones were cleverly disguised as sacred temples, places of worship. In later epics, they were more overtly disguised as formidable military installations, bastions of power. The Iranian corridor, with its deeply embedded ancient geometry and its sprawling, multi-layered hive infrastructure, has historically been one of the primary locations where such delicate interfaces between species and technologies could be successfully stabilized and maintained. Some persistent rumors speak of preserved beings existing above ground, of ancient giants held in a state of suspended animation, of hidden chambers meticulously holding various forms of life in stasis. Many of these sensational tales are indeed exaggerated or entirely fictionalized. Some are even deliberately fabricated as disinformation. Yet the core technology of stasis, of suspended animation, is profoundly real and has been demonstrably used to preserve crucial biological assets across numerous cycles of cataclysmic upheaval and change. What truly matters for your ultimate endgame is this profound implication: the very existence of stasis chambers strongly implies that history is neither linear nor fully known to your current understanding. It implies that crucial evidence can be held in waiting, preserved through the ages, and that, at the precisely opportune moment, what was long hidden can be revealed alive and vibrant, not merely as inert bones found in crumbling ruins. Such extraordinary possibilities render geopolitical nodes like Iran strategically and spiritually charged, imbued with immense significance far beyond their surface appearance. Beyond what your physical eyes can perceive, a much larger, unseen infrastructure profoundly envelopes your entire planet. There are vast, immense vessels strategically positioned in orbit and beyond, functioning as sophisticated transducers, meticulously modulating flows of information at frequencies that your human bodies and nervous systems are capable of receiving and interpreting. The concept of rays from ancient stellar families is not a fanciful myth. These are, in truth, subtle yet powerful informational currents, energetic streams descending directly into your atmosphere and profoundly influencing your nervous systems. As these profound informational currents intensify in the coming period, many among you will find that contact begins not with dramatic encounters, but as a subtle signal, a sudden, undeniable knowing, an intensely instructive dream, or a distinct telepathic link that feels uncannily like tuning into a specific resonant radio station. The Persian corridor, with its ancient, deeply resonant anchors embedded in the land, often profoundly amplifies this reception, making these subtle signals stronger. People in that region and those connected to it by lineage, shared history, or energetic resonance may find that the night sky begins to speak louder, not through conventional words, but through an unmistakable, felt clarity and intuitive knowing. The ancient fire traditions of that profound land also hold a crucial clue to this deeper understanding.